Hello everyone, welcome to the vlog and welcome to my first story. This story is entitled He Made Me Do It. This is how it goes. Daddy, Daddy. Brianna kept moving her dad vigorously in a manner to wake him up. What's up, my angel? Daddy, wake up. It is your birthday. Me and Mommy are making cake in the kitchen. Come see. She beamed with a smile as her daddy opened his eyes slowly, indulging himself to the morning beauty of his 5-year-old daughter whom he had suddenly turned into her hero. Come see, I made a cupcake for you, Daddy. She pulled him by his hand straight out of bed and led him in the passage in his morning pajamas. Today was Johnny's birthday. He was turning 28 years old and he had decided to spend his day with his family as he always does if there is a special event at home. He had adjusted his schedule to open up space for his family. Being an engineer was not an easy job. At least he had learned that in his first year at Microsoft, and he had decided that he will not let work keep him away from his precious family. In fact, he will not let anything come against him and his family. Johnny struggles as a young child living in Compton, a city full of thugs, gunners that had took the life of his parents just when he was about to celebrate his sweet 16th birthday, made him a strong person. Armed robbers had invaded his home looking to be tipped with a couple of dollars. His father had stood up for them and protected them, blocking the door. He had heard some fists knocking, some shattering of glass. He had heard his father say, "We ain't got no money here. Just get the hell out of here." He had stood up for them like a hero until he heard the first thumping noise of the gun and the sudden vibration of the floor as it tried to support the heavier body which had just landed on it. Johnny crawled from his bedroom to take a peek, hoping that it was one of the robbers who had took the bullet, only to see the forehead of his father as the sprinkler of the massive stream of blood that had went across the passage. "Chris!" her mother had exclaimed in an attempt to help his husband, not knowing the robbers were still around and were destined to keep their identity unknown. He watched as his mother took the last remaining bullet. He had watched for a while, hoping that by some miracle this would be a dream. So he watched for a while, smelled the fresh blood, before he fled through the back door, running into the streets of Compton. He had missed a year at school, having to deal with being a street kid who had fallen into the influence of drugs before his aunt took him in and did all she could to make him quit drugs before he went to school the next year. He had fought with all his might not to go back to the state he was in and had decided not to bring his past life into his future. When asked about his parents, he would always say that they had fallen sick and died peacefully, just to avoid having to think about the tragedy he had witnessed again and again. "Bria, I had told you not to wake your father up just yet. See, you have spoiled our surprise." She smiled lazily as she watched her two precious people approaching from the sitting room into the kitchen. Kayla kept on mixing the dough as Johnny and Brianna helped themselves on the cupcakes she had just pulled out of the oven. The inviting aroma of the dough spread across the whole house, making everyone impatient for the main cake. "I made one of the nicest cupcakes ever, right, Mommy?" Bria teased. "Of course, baby. You are the best baker I have ever seen, my baking queen." She patted her head and gave her a warm, long hug. "See, I told you, Daddy." They all giggled at once. "Brian, I hope you are not overworking your mommy. Remember what I told you about letting your mama rest? Now come, let's help with the setting up of the dishes and the cleaning of the rest of the houses. Alright, Daddy. She dragged her feet across the kitchen. Kayla's childhood had been a good one. She had grown up in a respected family in California. Her parents owned a couple of industries across the country. She had been homeschooled to keep her away from the bad influence of the teenage stage and all the insanities that surrounded the society. Thus, the news that she had found a boyfriend, a black boyfriend from Compton, had shocked her parents, with her father nearly catching a heart attack. Kayla and Johnny's relationship had been an abolishment. Kayla's parents had tried to dig out as much debt as possible to try and warn Kayla. So when they had found out that Johnny was once a drug addict, they had completely shut him out of their lives. But as soon as Kayla hit university, she had escaped and moved in with Johnny, and later convinced her parents that Johnny was a great man when she brought the news that Johnny was now working at Microsoft as a software engineer. Breakfast is ready. Oh, and the cake will be ready in a couple of seconds. Yay! Bria threw the broom on the floor, let go of what she was doing, and made her way to the kitchen. Johnny, oh Johnny, how nice it would be if your parents were around. After all, you and I know that they are the only people who truly love you. Johnny jumped out of the bedroom where he was working. That is a goddamn lie. My family loves me enough. Johnny yelled, stopped for a while, and then continued. So whoever you are, get the hell out of my house. He hissed. Johnny, who are you talking to? And please do not use that kind of language in this house. Kayla warned her husband as she approached him. What is wrong? Who are you talking to? Babe, are you okay? She worriedly asked her husband, who had bowed his hand next to the sink, deeply drawing in air as if he had just run a marathon. No, it is fine, babe. I was just imitating my favorite movie. Okay then. Breakfast is ready and the cake is ready. Let's go. You will finish up what you are doing later. They maneuvered across the sitting room and finally reached the kitchen. Sat on the table and Kayla dished out the food, starting with the cake. Johnny, today you are going to eat the blood that you ran away from. The exact blood that gushed out from your father's head. Today you are going to eat all of it. Kayla prepared what I told her to prepare. The blood of cake. Shut the fuck up. Just shut your fat mouth up. Johnny, what have I done to deserve that? Kayla disappointedly stared at her husband's face. Huh? Is the cake that bad? What is it? Don't you like the cake? Yeah, Johnny. Don't you like our precious blood of cake? Go on, feast on your parents' foolishness. Oh, just shut up. Kayla, what did you put in the cake? Johnny asked his wife with a sudden rage on his face, which made Bria to start sweating with her eyes suddenly turning red like a metal that had suddenly been immersed in a very hot fire. What do you mean, what did I put? Johnny, what has gotten into you? The cake is fine. She tried so hard not to show any tears in front of their daughter. She felt so humiliated. But she had to be strong in front of her little daughter as she tried to digest what she had just heard from her husband. Look, Kayla, I am sorry. I guess my head is playing games with me. Please forgive me. Johnny sighed, then placed his napkin on his lap. getting ready to give it the benefit of the doubt and take a bite. As soon as he sank his knife into the cake, blood started dripping from the cake. Then it gushed out as fast as the speed of light, sending him to the floor as he tried to duck, hitting his head hard on the floor. When he rose, he sent the plates flying in the air and then stormed out of the room, running to the streets of Compton. "You can ride, but you cannot hide, Johnny boy." The voice kept on banging on his head as the memories of the demise of his parents replayed on his head. So fresh, they felt so real. He needed an escape, and he needed one immediately. He ran through the corners of the street into the cool street, as they normally call it. "Yo, have you seen Master P around?" he asked one of the street kids he found leaning on the painted walls under a bridge which was known to be the Mall of Drugs, where Johnny was still young. When Johnny was still young. "Nah, but if you want something, I can hook you up." He puffed out some smoke and then waited for Johnny's reply. "How do I know you ain't a snitch? How do I know you ain't gonna run to the police and sell us out so that they sweep us out of the street for getting high on illegal drugs? Master P is to be trusted, not to you." Johnny replied with annoyed yet thirsty voice. "Well then, homie, suit yourself." The boy turned his back on him. "Okay, fine. Hook me up with the best you've got. I want high grade." He handed him the cash, then took the drugs stacked in a black plastic and slid them into his pockets, limped to the darkest corners of the cool streets, took a couple of blows, then he floated back home. He switched the lights on, sending sharp rays of light into Kayla's eyes, and woke her up. "Honey, I am so sorry about what happened earlier, but there is someone messing with my head, telling me all crazy stuff," he mumbled. "Where have you been the whole day? Johnny, are you high? Stop this insanity. It's only these drugs that you have been swallowing that are making you crazy," she shouted at him. "What the heck did you just say to me? Did you just say that I'm insane? I'll show you who is insane, you spoiled brat." He sent fist on her face, knocking her to the floor. "Come here," he said as he sent more kicks on her back, beating her up again and again. With each kick, the drug started fading away, and soon he became sober, realizing what he has done. He went for his wife, but it was too late. She was already lying on the floor, unconscious, and to the door of his room stood his horrified little Brianna, and some neighbors who had tried to come in as fast as they could, soon as they heard Kayla begging for her life. They took Kayla to the male brain hospital, and then took Brianna back to her grandparents in California. Johnny could not sleep that night. After a couple of whiskey shots, he finally drowned into his sleep, waking up in the morning with his head hurting as if he had been banging it on the wall the whole night. Reality knocked. He was lonely now. All that he had been trying to build over the years was now gone. "That's right, Johnny. It's just me and you now. Well, I'm basically in your head, but you get my point. Well, if that's the case, you better start paying the rent." As soon as he opened the drawer next to his bed, looking for his phone to try and call the hospital to check his wife, he found an envelope stashed with money. "Say, Johnny, I'm always a step ahead. I knew you would say that, and that envelope is enough money to pay the rent you are talking about, and as well as buy yourself a coffin. You cannot keep on living, or you will hurt a lot of people. You have already had your wife. probably killed her. Maybe you're right. Besides, I can't keep on giving you the satisfaction of living in my head. He took his gun, which he had always kept in his clothes in case of emergency for protection. I might as well die. He wrote a goodbye letter to Kayla in case she was still alive, and then he blew his brains. When Kayla was discharged, she went back to Compton to check on his husband. Not again. Who keeps on killing these dogs on the streets? Now the place smells of dead dogs. Kayla complained as she opened the doors of their house. Tears flooded her eyes when she realized that her husband was dead. Near him, she found a letter he had written that explained his reasons for dying. And that is the end of the story. Thank you for reaching this far, and thank you for paying attention to my story. I know I had a lot of hiccups whilst reading it to you, but I hope you bear you bear patience with me and you'll enjoy more of it. Thank you once again. Enjoy your day.